So today I'm back with a really strong Power Harbinger Roaming build. This build is really fun to play. It has a lot of potential to kill people in one-on-ones and outnumbered situations really fast. It uses Spear. You have actually a lot of healing and sustain and tankiness baked into the kit. And it's actually also quite bursty if you land your skills on Spear. What can I tell you more? This build is really nice. So let's jump right in. So let's start with the gear. It's really straightforward. I use full Demolisher gear. Demolisher gives you power, precision as main stats, and toughness and ferocity as minor stats. This leads to a very nice high crit chance of over 70%. If you want to min-max, you actually can go a little bit lower. For example, you can fit in some dragon pieces to get it a little bit lower because you have some traits that alter your crit chance. But I think it's just the most straightforward way to go with full Demolisher gear on every single piece, and with Rune of Searching gives you nice power, wound duration and movement speed. Perfect, everything that you want. For Relic, I really like to go with Relic of Atrocity just for more lifesteal, because that's the bread and butter of this build, is just having a lot of lifesteal. However, this Relic, I'm not sure if it's the best option just from how much effectiveness it has. I think you could buff up the effectiveness to 25% or something, then it would be better. But if for this build, it suits really well. So if you don't want to go with this Relic, other options would be, of course, River's Relic after the nerfs, not that strong anymore, but still a bit decent choice. And Isgaren, obviously a really good choice just for straight up damage. And there are a lot of different relics that you could use. It's not like you need to use this one, but I think this fits this build really well. For weapons, of course, like I said, we want to run Spear and Sword. On my Spear, I choose Cleansing Sigil and Generosity Sigil. Both of them are my Condi Cleanse Sigil to some extent. The reason for that is this build lacks a little bit of Condi Cleanses. It has some, but not that crazy amount. So I think going for more Condi Cleanses is really nice. And be aware, you can proc the Cleansing Sigil by swapping into Shroud. So this procs as well. So that means you have to be a bit careful. You don't want to run 2 times the same sigils, because that means you might lose the cooldown because of the Shroud. And then on the sword, I go for Energy, just for when you swap to this, you get Energy, more Endurance to dodge, perfect. And then Hydromancy, when I swap to sword, I get a nice proc. This helps me to maybe get away, get some nice damage on the sword. I think you can swap the sigils around, they are not completely set in stone, but I think that makes a lot of sense on that build. For utility consumables and consumables in general, I would go straightforward always with either the Peppercorn Crusted Sweet Steaks because of the minus 10% incoming damage, or if you feel like you want to go even more in the lifesteal angle, then you can go for the Cilantro Lime Sweet Steaks, where you have another 66% chance to steal on life on critical hit, which has an internal cooldown, yes, but it's still a very nice DPS and healing boost. So both of those are fine. I think they are just the best options for World vs. World. Of course, for the consumables, Sharpening Stones are the best option. So now let's talk about the traits. So the traits are Curses, Blood Magic, and Harbinger. Curses is interesting. Normally that's like the condition trait line, but it gives you some bleeding. You don't care about it. It gives you Fury when you enter Shroud, and you get more precision. Really nice. So a lot of Fury. That's really good. Your power build, you want a lot of Fury. And then crit chance for each condition on your foe. That is the thing that I talked about. You can, with this trait and the Fury, you can get to 100% very easily. But that's the thing. It is dependent on how many Condi Cleanses they have, so it's not 100% all the time. Then you get condition damage based on your position. You actually get some condition damage because of that, because you have a lot of precision. So let's talk about the active traits. Your first attack after entering Shroud turns first condition. This is a really nice Condi Cleanse that you have. Really good. But it's, of course, you have to hit the attack. So be aware, if you swap to Shroud, you should try to hit the next attack to transfer the conditions. Otherwise, you will lose this. Then Shroud skill 2 now converts conditions. Boons into conditions. Really strong. Extremely strong trait. Even on a power build, you can corrupt boons. Strong. And then lastly, cast Lesser Enfeeble when enter Shroud. Okay, that's nice. Some weakness. But more importantly, critical hits inflict weakness. This is extremely strong. You have a nice weakness application here with this, and this helps you deal with a lot of power builds and also some condition builds that need to dodge a lot. This is extremely strong. You have a lot of weakness application then. Then Blood Magic is the, so to say, defensive healing trait line. You get a Mark of Blood when you dodge, some nice regen. Then you get passive lifesteal, really nice. And you have some healing power increases when you're below some thresholds, not that crazy good. But here, now we get passively cast Lesser Signet of Vampirism when you hit foes with a lot of bleeding. that happens sometimes because you crit and you apply bleeding, and then you might proc this and you get some more life stealing passively that helps with sustain. It has a low cooldown, it's really nice. Then passively you get a lot of life stealing for you and your allies around you, that helps a lot. And it's also increased while you're on Shroud, so you have a lot of life stealing. Why is that important? It's your main source of healing, that's clear, especially with the Relic of Atrocity. But with this trait, Blood Bank, you have a healing conversion rate to barrier of 5%. So every time you heal, you get 5% as barrier. If you're at full health, you get 100% of that as barrier. So that means you get full value of healing even though you're at 100%. Why is that important? This is important because Harbinger in Shroud gets Blight stacks. Blight stacks reduce the maximum health, so you lose maximum health, but if you get barrier or healing, because you lost health effectively, you get barrier instead. And this helps a lot with getting a lot of barrier. So all the health that you lose, especially with the Blight heal that you also get, you actually get as barrier back. So that is really, really strong. So Blood is extremely strong blood magic in Harbinger. So now to Harbinger. Access to a Shroud, we will talk that about in a second. Then Elixir skills, Ground Protection. Yeah, helps a bit with the sustain. Then you get some more Vitality, and each stack of Blight heals you. That helps a lot with blocking Blood Bank and just getting more sustain. Then when you enter Shroud, you get minus 50% incoming damage, just power damage, for the next 2 seconds. Helps a lot with sustain. And you get Stability, helps a lot. And you get Ferocity based on your Vitality. So that's really, this trait is really good on a power build. It's just extremely strong. And the Stability helps a lot to negate damage or just get out of sticky situations. Then you get Life Force when you enter Harbinger Shroud. This is because your Harbinger Shroud doesn't function as a second health pool anymore. So you can get Life Force just by entering it. Really helpful to get the skills. And then last but not least, really important, Deathly Haste. You get Quickness and Fury pulsing to you and around allies for when you're in the Shroud. This helps a lot because your Shroud has a lot of powerful attacks, especially just ranged damage, and that helps to upkeep that a lot. With the quickness you have way faster attacks. It's really strong. So now quickly cover the Shroud skills. Shroud skills are really important because the 5 skill is a nice float that you can cast. The 4 skill deals a lot of damage and dazes, really strong, and is also an evade if you time it correctly. And then you have the Devouring Cut, which is a nice mobility skill. And the 2 skill is the conversion of wounds into conditions of enemies, and does a lot of damage, especially if you hit it melee range. And then lastly, the auto attack is actually dealing quite a lot of damage over time as well with the quickness. The Spear has some really nice lifesteal baked into the kit. You have some really strong hard-hitting 2 skill, especially if you have some slow charge up. Then you have some nice CC. It's hard to hit because it's really close, but if you hit it really nice, especially if you combo it with the 4 skill. The 4 skill is a teleport, so you first have to land it, and if you reactivate it, then it is a teleport. So if the teleport is instant, so you can precast the 3 skill and cast the 4, and you will instantly hit this daze if they don't dodge. And last but not least, you have Extirpate, which deals some nice damage and it gives you might and removes some wounds. So it's a long cast time, but it's really nice if you can hit it. Then you have Sword, which is a ranged set, some nice damage on the 2 and the 4. The 3 skill is some nice movement mobility, also can convert wounds into conditions on enemies. And the 5 skill is some nice ranged fear projectile, so really nice ranged kit and mobility kit. And then you have, of course, Elixir of Promise, nice healing skill, also gives protection with the trait. Then you have Elixir of Bliss, just for more condi remove, really nice, and also gives protection and resolution as well. And then you have a stun break here, Elixir of Ignorance, gives you also resistance, helps a lot. And of course, Spectral Walk, really, really strong to get around faster cleanse conditions. This stun break is really overloaded. And last but not least, of course, Elixir of Ambition, really, really good. Gives you just a lot of damage pressure and just also defensive tools while you have it up. You can swap the Elixir of Ignorance, for example, for the ring or spectral armor or even the worm if you need to teleport. I think all of those are valid. There are definitely very good choices here. You could even go for Plague Signet if you have a lot of condi pressure all the time on you. But I think this setup is really good because it uses the most elixirs and they give all protection, and it makes a lot of sense with the Blight application for Harbinger and that kind of stuff. When it comes to combos, typical combos are of course going in with the Sword 3 or going out with the Sword 3, using it as the disengage tool. The 5 skill to set up, because it's a fear, if you land that, you can either use your burst skills on tier 2 and 4, but then I would often go to set up with the 2 skill. If you can land this in melee range, it's really nice because then you can set up with the 2 skill because that's the most damaging skill. Like I said, the 4 skill is really important because it not only gives you a reset on the 2 skill if you land it, so you can put in and get another 2 spike, but it also gets reset if you exit Shroud, which is really nice. You can see it is reset, and therefore if you can use the Shroud as a mobility tool, the 3 and 4 skill to get in, land this in melee range as soon as you come out and reset your 2 skill as well, it's a really nice combo. You have a lot of damage and that helps a lot. Especially, like I said, if you combo that with your 3 skill, because it's an instant teleport to the target, you can actually land the daze. And it's also immobilizing, so that means that you can then land your 2 skill really easily, especially if you have soul shards up, you heal a lot, you deal a lot of damage, it's really strong. And if you have some quickness left over, you can actually use that with the execute because then the cooldown or the cast time will be shorter. And of course in the Shroud, if you land the 5 skill, I would never use the 4 skill after that. You should rather use the 2 skill or the 1 skill, because those will give you more damage and the 4 skill will not override the float with the daze, which is always bad if you don't CC correctly. If the float is almost ending, then you can use it and CC again, which is really strong. And then lastly, if you want to disengage or just re-engage, use the 3 skill. So that's it for typical weapon combos. You can, of course, if you land this, there's a lot of conditions on them, so they might not know how to deal with them. So that's really nice if you can land that with Immobilize, for example. And always try, of course, to use your elixirs in a wise time, so you will decrease your maximum health. So you should not use your elixirs if you have a lot of blight stacks or you don't need the elixirs, because they are really important to use at the correct time. So for example, if I use my healing skill in combat, I get almost half my health as barrier. So this is really strong. So you can use that even if you have maximum life to get a lot of barrier, because you get then the blight as well and you can heal a lot. So sometimes it makes sense, but the other elixirs is really important that you really use when you need a Sunbreak, when you need a Condi cleanse, and don't waste them for blight, because you don't have that much Condi cleanses. So that's it. You can also do some nice combos, of course, with Spectral Walk and with the teleport with Isolate. So there are a lot of nice teleports with this build, and you are quite mobile, especially with Sword and the Harbinger Shroud with the 3 skills. That helps a lot. So there is a lot of potential with this build to outplay. So you can see in the background, this build is really fun to play. It has a lot of potential to kill people in 1-on-1s and outnumbered situations. You're really fast. You have actually a lot of healing and sustain and tankiness baked into the kit. And it's actually also quite bursty if you land your skills on Spear. So I hope you enjoyed this quick guide. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks to all my supporters on YouTube, Patreon and Twitch. Thanks Timor, thanks Malice, and I hope to see you all in the next video.